Hi, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Unmistakable. Today, we have the pleasure of interviewing Paolo Guizzardi, electronic engineer, former information and communication technologies manager in the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, European researcher since 2008, member of Italy's National UFO Center as international relations manager, member and president of the Fiscal Council of ICER, the International Coalition for Extraterrestrial Research. He speaks Italian, English, French, Portuguese, Spanish, and German. We chose English to reach as many people as possible. So let's welcome Paolo Guizzardi. Paolo, thank you for being with us today at Unmistakable. And I would like to start talking about the Titan project, where we are now. May you please update us, make us a briefing of what the project is and what could become?
Of course, Massimo. First of all, I'm the one who has to thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure. And okay, about Project Titan. So I'll have to say that, so first of all, a general sketch of the situation. After the government crisis that happened in, it was May, if I remember well, late April or May, in San Marino, now the government has remained with a very reduced majority, just two is the majority. So in such a situation, the risks of being how can I say, below the legal number is great. So many have the opinion that the government will not last until next spring. So this is, first of all, this is the current situation in San Marino. But having said this, I also want to say that, of course, the next phase for San Marino is to submit the proposal to the UN Secretary General Office, and this is to be made shortly before the UN General Assembly starts. And this year, next year, 2024, the General Assembly is going to start on September the 10th. So at the beginning of September, San Marino should submit the proposal for the creation of this new office as per the action plan of Project Titan. So, but before this happens, of course, there is one important step, the first step of the process, which is the signature of the Memorandum of Understanding between the parties. That is the Republic of San Marino on one side, and on the other, ICER and CON, the Centro Ufologico Nazionale of Italy. So we have already written at least twice, to the government asking for a meeting in order to sign this Memorandum of Understanding, but for the moment we got no reply. So we are going to write in January, we're going to write informing the government, the whole government, the parliament, and the two chiefs of state of San Marino, called the Capitani Reggenti, or Regent Captains, to inform them of this and to ask for a meeting with the government in order to sign a Memorandum of Understanding, because this is the very first phase of the whole project. So this is the current situation, Massimo.
Great, thank you, Paul. That would be very important, no? Because we know that Granada already tried but failed in 1978 to propose such a project to the UN office, and now it could be the right time to try again. And it would be great if San Marino will have its possibility, right? So the idea is to create a, let's say, an office in San Marino to study the subject. Am I right? That would be reasonable or not?
Well, Massimo, the basic idea is to set up a new office. I mean, must not be a big structure, a small office, but within the United Nations. So it can be located anywhere, because nowadays, you know, it's not a problem even if it's located not in the UN headquarters. So to set up this new office, new UN office properly, tasked with organizing a world conference on the UAP studies. So, so this new office will be tasked with the preparation of the conference, which will be held under the UN auspices in the territory of the Republic of San Marino. And this is, I mean, the basic aim of this is to create an international effort for the scientific study, an open scientific study of the UAP phenomenon. So, I mean, the three pillars of this initiative are the scientific study, multidisciplinary study, I have to say, but scientific study at an international level and open, because the problem until now, the main problem has been secrecy. I mean, the main problem with everything concerning the UFO, UAP phenomenon has been secrecy. So this effort aims to bring the scientific study into the phenomenon in the open, under the sunlight, and at an international level, because of course no nation is exempt from the manifestations of the UFO UAP phenomenon, whatever this phenomenon is, and whatever, because it's still a mystery after all. I mean, we really don't know anything about the intentions, about who is behind, if there is anyone, of course, behind this, and what are the scopes of these things, that mostly fleeting things that we see in the sky or in the sea, under the sea, or entering the sea, exiting the sea, or sometimes also in extra atmospheric space. So this is the base of, I mean, these are the pillars of this San Marino initiative. And again, we will try to do this, I mean, to, how can I say, to inform all the institutions of San Marino, so that the process can be enacted, can be started properly. Of course, given the situation of the government, of San Marino government, the fragility of San Marino government, as I told before, there is not that much that we can do, because this is something totally out of our control. But I mean, in any case, of course, we have to do with what is available, and we will go on, and we will ask again to all institutions of San Marino to have a meeting in order to sign the memorandum of understanding of the project.
Thank you, Paolo, for your efforts. Really appreciate it. We wish you good luck on that. We are all with you. And you gave me the possibility to, talking about secrecy, to switch on the other side of the ocean, let's say. I know that you have been following what's happening in the US with the Schumer's Amendment. We know that you followed it very closely. And so maybe please make us a briefing of what could have been this amendment, or that it, to me, it was killed. But for instance, Heavy Love 2 weeks ago told us it was deeply wounded. Anyway, what do you see? What can we expect next, and where we are?
Yes, Massimo. Well, of course, the ditching of the Schumer Amendment was a heavy blow, of course, toward the process or the general process of disclosure. And I, for one, was really disappointed by this, of course. But in any case, I would like to say that I spoke with one not usually very well-informed source, but one of those in the making, one of those persons in the making of the process, who told me, no, you don't have to worry, because we deliberately made this amendment very robust, so that in case it's approved, so much the better. In case it's not, then the enemies of this disclosure process will have to show their face. And so we will know. Basically, as I wrote in my blog article, the Schumer Amendment can be likened to one of those aerial reconnaissance missions where you have to assess the presence of an enemy and also assess the consistency of the forces and their deployment. So this is what exactly happened. And as I said, or in my article, yes, the pilot Schumer was shot down, but I mean, it was not in vain, because it actually showed that the disclosure process has indeed enemies, and has shown who are these enemies and more or less where they are located, so to speak. So, I mean, I'm pretty much confident that next year we're going to have something very similar to the Schumer. I mean, something similar in the sense that very likely it's going to be an amendment to the NDAA 25, very likely, but which will be even more robust and comprehensive than the original Schumer rounds amendment. So I'm pretty much confident. Of course, it takes time, and I understand it can be frustrating sometimes, because we're all passionate about this and we would like to see quick progresses, but things do not always
It's good to
go.
hear that, Paolo. Thank you, really. It give us, first of all, a clear vision of the fact that the Schumer Amendment was just one step forward, something that could be, let's call it disclosure or confirmation, as something said, but basically a step forward, raising awareness about the fact that this subject could be a key moment for humankind, right? And so if we have a look at both what's happening in the US and what's happening in Europe, with, for instance, the Titan project, we can understand very well that, as you said before, on the table there are different key elements. And so, for instance, to me, it's a good idea right now to go on talking about real cases. So that's why, due to the fact that both of us are Italians, I think that probably our audience recently heard about what is called the Mussolini case, or the UFO of Mussolini. And so may you please help me to present what we know about it, also in Italy, because, as you know, we had different information about that during the last years, but now at international level, many came to this incident only some months ago, right? So thank you for explaining us what do we know, how we know it, which are the documents behind, and if there is any new data about it?
Yes, Massimo, sure. Well, the so-called Mussolini UFO case of 1933, to sum up quickly, is basically a case where there was a UFO crash which happened in the general area of Magenta, not far from Milan in northern Italy. How did we know about this? It started at it was 1998 or 99, if I remember well, and there was a series of anonymous mail sendings to. Initially, it was in a local newspaper of Bologna called Il Resto del Carlino, where this anonymous sender sent a good number of documents relating to the 30s. Of course, I would like to remember that Italy in the 30s was under the fascist dictatorship of Mussolini, which started in 1922, by the way. So what happened? This anonymous gentleman started sending documents to this Resto del Carlino newspaper, but they did not publish them. So this gentleman started sending instead other documents to UFO magazine in Italy, which did not take them in great consideration. And then again, so given the situation, he sent other documents yet to directly to Roberto Pinotti. So what we have nowadays is mostly what is in possession of Roberto Pinotti. So this document in general depicts a situation where there was a UFO crash in 16th of June 1933, close to Magenta, near Milano, and an immediate secrecy, high-level secrecy, was imposed on the fact with, I mean, to make this thing short, because I mean it's rather complicated, but to make a long story short, the case is very interesting because we see the same dynamics that we have been accustomed to with the case of Roswell, of the Roswell UFO crash. We see exactly the same dynamics at work in a totally different environment 14 years before Roswell, because we have the UFO crash, then we have the immediate secrecy imposed, then we have deliberate misinformation released, and then we have the creation of a high-level scientific study structure, something like the MJ12 in the US. In the case of Italy, this version of MJ12 was called RS-33, Romeo Sierra 33. Which stand for Special Researches 33, likely the year of the crash. So it is interesting, very interesting because of this. I mean, we see the start of the, how can I say, modern era of the UFO phenomenon dated back of 14 years in 1933. But already we see the very same dynamics that we came to know with the Roswell affair, so to speak. So what can be said quickly on this? Roberto Pinotti, of course, had some documents analyzed properly, forensically analyzed, and they were confirmed to be original 1930, paper from 1930, ink from the 1930, the type font, the fonts of the typewriter also was confirmed to be coherent with the typewriting machine they used in the 30s in Italy, and so on. So this is basically a quick information on this case and what we have. The documents that were sent by this anonymous sender, who claimed to be someone connected with, relative to someone who was involved in this RS-33 cabinet studies. He sent a lot of documents, not only relating to this UFO crash of 1933, but also, for instance, relating to another sighting which happened in 1936 over Venice, where there was a torpedo-like object followed by flying information, followed by two smaller disc-shaped object with a dome. And then also other documents stating the interest that the organs of the Mussolini regime had for anything that was flying, in any case. And also, there is one document which is interesting because, concerning the specific case of 1933 UFO crash, the documents that we have are 3 telegrams sent by the Stefani news agency, which was the only news agency of the regime. In these 3 telegrams, is contained all the norms to be followed. First of all, to impose the secrets on the facts, on the events, and also to be followed to disseminate false information, misinformation, in order to distract the public attention and minimize as much as possible. And the so-called memorandum, which is a memorandum which, even though it's not specifically mentioned that it relates to that UFO crash, when you read it, you understand that it must be somehow related, because it is a list of action to be taken, which start from seclude the area, get back everything which is possible to find on the spot, interview the witnesses, debrief them, and in case arrest them, and send all the materials to a specific location, send all the reports, the follow-ups, so to speak, to a specific location. So, it's not mentioned that this list relates to the action to be performed after this UFO crash, but it comes logically. You understand logically that it must be related to this, because it mentioned the removing of the craft, of whatever is left of the craft, and the diffusion of disinformation, false information, debriefing of witnesses, and in case arrest them, and so on. So, this is the basic solution. This is the, a general picture of the situation. So the main importance, the most important event that happened recently and shed new light on this is the claims by David Grush, who claimed that he was briefed that this UFO crash of 1933 was the first one where there was a crash followed by an operation of recovery of the debris, of the materials which were left. And so, of course, this shed new light on this, because, I mean, we know in Italy, the ufologists know this story since the year 2000, more or less. Roberto Pinotti also wrote a book on this. For the moment, it's only in Italian. It's available only in Italian. So the big news was this. And I can, of course, David Grush also said something that was not mentioned before, at least to my knowledge. That is that this craft, which impacted the ground, must have been lens-shaped, as most of UFOs are, with a dome, likely. But the sheer force of the impact cleared away, I mean, a structure that it would have had around it, and left only something which resembled a pier or a bell, so to speak. This is something that I didn't know about this. And if I can share, Massimo, if I can share my screen, I would like to, let me see where I have put it, because of course, when you search for something, you're not going to find it. Okay.
Yes, in the meanwhile, let me say that also to me, what the claims of Dave Grush this summer, before is presenting to the U.S. Congress, it came from out of the blue to me. I mean, we realized also that the craft is supposed to be moved to the US. Am I right? So that's also something that it was a new information together with what you just said.
Yes, exactly. And Grush said that the OSS, the precursor of the CIA, the Military Intelligence Service, recovered the materials at the end of the war and sent them to the United States. Grush also said that the Pope, Pius XI, if I remember well, was informed by the Vatican of this. So always through the OSS, of course. And he said when we asked him in the course of our interview, he said that yes, there would very likely there would be documents relating to this operation in the presidential classified archives. So there we go again. It's something which is classified, and very likely there should be some documents in Vatican archives also concerning this operation. But of course, everything is under classification. So it's difficult to have any confirmation. So now I found the so in this drawing, in this set of drawing created by this Olof Röckner from Norway, you can see how, I mean, a possible way the object was built, with a central section in the form of a bell, more or less, surrounded by how can I say, a shape, round shape, which gave it the classical aspect of the dome-shaped lenticular UFO. So this is the matter. And finally, I would like to add one thing. Soon there will be some important news on this. I cannot say anything now, not because it's necessarily classified. We have too many classified things already. I don't want to add any more. Anyway, no, because it's still in the making. So as long as the thing is not finalized, it's not proper to speak about it. But please, I would like to invite everybody to stay tuned on this, because there will be some interesting news soon on this matter of the 1933 UFO crash in Magenta. So this is the matter. And
Wow.
okay, no, I want to end with this in the sense because I mean, I thought that we wouldn't have, I personally thought that we wouldn't have had any further news on this, because you know, it remains for silent, it remains still for 20 years more or less. So I really thought we couldn't have had any more news, while recently we have this confirmation from David Grush, and this new thing that we are preparing to disclose. So I mean, I'm happy to say that the subject is still going on. I mean, and it's not how can I say, a dead
Good to know.
subject.
Very curious. Stay tuned and stay curious, right? Thank you, Paul. Very great, great news for us. You know what? I would like to ask you something different now. You've been studying UAP phenomenon since 28 months, right? So I'd like to ask you, which event or sighting or experience made you say it's unmistakable?
Good question. Now, you know what, Massimo? Well, I have to say that it's 20 plus years. I'm an ufologist, but I've never seen a UFO myself. not even health UFO, you know, just coming out from a house. No, never ever. So this make me a bit angry sometimes, but you know, who never know? Who can say? Maybe I will see one sooner or later. But in any case, coming to this, you know what? For me, it was the thing that was not the thing, the document in this case that was very important was the COMETA report, the French COMETA report, because it was of the year 2000, because it was a very well done study on the UAP. I mean, I would like to remember that the title was UFO, What Should We Expect, basically. And it was very well done, and it was done by a number of experts who were alumni of the French Center for High Studies of Defense. And it really made me understand that there was really something to the UFO phenomenon. I mean, that it was really something important. And all the various cases which were mentioned. And by the way, the picture, which is the cover picture, that is the UFO of the Cote Lake in Costa Rica, if I remember well. That impressed me a lot because it was very clear. It was taken unintentionally, and it showed something really the classical UFO. I mean, in this case. So, I mean, for me, the COMETA report was really, really important in confirming the seriousness of the subject. And I really would like to invite everybody to read this document because it is really, really, really well done, well thought, and well exposed.
I agree. I agree. Thank you for sharing with us your. It's an experience, right? Me too. When I think about what I read, because me too, I said very little, but something happens when you read something or find something that it's linked, there is more. And so you don't stop there. Your curiosity is pushing you to go further. And that was exactly my question. Thank you. Thank you for answering. So, Paolo, one last question on our side. We at UAP Education would like to raise awareness and removing stigma. And I was wondering if also in your job experience at the Foreign Affair, or out of there, of course, if you ever experienced um, a clear event in which someone was mocked or was derived because they was talking or they was referring to a P. Do you have any clear experience of stigma in the real world? And eventually, do you have any idea, suggestion how to remove it for next generation or for this generation, to be frank, for my kids?
Yes, Massimo, of course. Everyone who is active in the ufology field and knows very well what the stigma is and how it manifests. So I had a lot I have to endure a lot of expression of this stigma related to myself or in general to the UFO subject in general, of course. But I would like to say what can be done to remove the stigma. Very simple question with a very complicated answer. Because, you see, I mean, I would like to point everybody's attention to what happened with the nowadays historical article of the New York Times of December 16th, 2017. So it exposed this AATP program and Lou Elizondo and showed real officially confirmed UFO footage, video footage, and so on. So, I mean, and this had a huge effect, and it really started the process by which the stigma was removed. So, what can be done to remove the stigma? It is very simple and complicated at the same time. That is to have credible information sources speaking seriously about the UAP phenomenon, the UFO UAP phenomenon, because you see, I mean, by the way, I would like to point out that almost the same kind of article was published by Politico. Politico is information outlet, mainly dealing with the US politics, basically. So, but, it had almost no effect, basically. While basically the same article published on the New York Times, which of course is a huge information outlet, printed as well as online, I mean, it had a huge effect worldwide, not only US, but worldwide. So, I mean, this is the important thing. And this is why we want that the UN starts to take this subject into consideration. Because once that the UN starts organizing conferences in San Marino on the UFO phenomenon study, this is yet another very important step on the removal of the stigma, on the acceptation of the UFO, or the reality of the UFO phenomenon. So to reply quickly, I mean, the more important information outlets treat the subject, the better it is, because this is the point. And now we have the first. Now we are in the situation where the first brick from the dam has been taken off. So now other bricks are starting to pop out, but I mean, we need something. We need something to help this, in order to make this crumbling of the dam faster. And this is basically to have important sources mentioning the UFO phenomenon.
Thank you, Paolo. Thank you. I agree. I totally agree. Yes, we started with the Titan project. We closed with the Titan project, because that's the point. Thank you so much for having been with us today. I hope we will have other occasions in the next year. And great. Thank you again.
Thank you, Massimo. And I really hope to be back with very good and important news.
You're to hear that. Thank you. Bye, Paolo.
Ciao.